Good morning and welcome to the Morning Outlook, your daily briefing that gives you everything you'll need for a successful day of trading. I'm James Preston reporting live from Kalkine Studios in Sydney. The Australian share market finished flat on Thursday, with the ASX 200 hitting its intraday high early before fading throughout the afternoon. The index rose by just 1.7 points, or 0.02%, to 7,415.4. This coincided with losses across most major Asian markets and futures suggesting a soft start in the United States is likely. In US economic data, initial jobless claims for unemployment benefits fell by 6,000 to 290,000 over the past week. Existing home sales lifted by 7% in September, the most in a year, to an annual rate of 6.29 million. The Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index eased from 30.7 to 23.8, and the Conference Board Leading Index rose by 0.2% in September. European share markets closed lower on Thursday. The Pan-European Stoxx 600 index fell by 0.1%. Shares of China-exposed European miners dropped 3% after the collapse of a US $2.6 billion asset sale at indebted developer China Evergrande Group. The German DAX index also slid by 0.3%, and the UK FTSE index lost 0.5% despite strong earnings from Barclays. In London, shares in Aussie miners Rio Tinto and BHP also dropped, down by 4.8% and 3.7% respectively. US share markets, were mixed on Thursday. The Dow Jones index eased from record highs after IBM, who dipped by 9.6%, missed quarterly revenue estimates. Shares of Tesla were up by 3.3%, racing towards a record high after a ninth straight quarter of profits. American Airlines shares rose 1.9% after posting a smaller than expected quarterly loss. HP shares gained 6.9% after the personal computer and printer maker reported an upbeat forecast for its fiscal 2022 earnings. The Dow Jones index fell by 6 points, or less than 0.1%. The S&P 500 index gained 0.3% to a record closing high, and the Nasdaq index added 94 points, or 0.6%. US Treasury yields climbed on Thursday after data showed that the number of new claims for unemployment benefits dropped to a 19-month low last week, pointing to a tightening labour market. The US Treasury sold $19 billion worth of 5-year Treasury inflation-protected securities at a yield of minus 1.685% into solid demand. US 10-year yields rose by 5 points to near 1.68%, and US 2-year yields lifted by 6 points to around 0.44%. Time now for a very short break before we take a look at some of the news headlines with the ability to impact markets, and also a look at the performance of major currencies.
Tune in to stay updated while on the move.
We will tell you where the crypto craze has reached,
where the property market is headed next,
what the world is doing to become more environmentally friendly,
apart from tracking the daily market charter.
Be on top of the latest news and announcements
with Kalkine TV.
Thanks for joining us on Kalkine TV. I'm James Preston, and this is the Morning Outlook, where we provide you with all the details you'll need for a successful day of trading. Just before we take a look at the performance of global currencies, let's take a look at news headlines with the ability to impact markets. Evergrande Group, one of China's largest property developers, is on the brink of collapse following yet another failed takeover bid. On Wednesday, Evergrande announced that it had scrapped a deal to sell a 50.1% stake in the company to Hobson Development Holdings, a Hong Kong firm, because the smaller rival had not met the, quote, prerequisite to make a general offer. Hobson has maintained that there was no substance whatsoever to Evergrande's termination of the sales agreement, and that it was exploring options to protect its interests. The Thursday morning trading session was a brutal one for the embattled Global 500 entity, with its shares dropping by 14% following a 2-week trading halt. The $2.6 billion Hobson debacle is the second deal to fall through in a week for Evergrande. Last week, the $1.7 billion sale of its Hong Kong headquarters failed amidst buyer worries over Evergrande's dire financial situation. Evergrande remains in a precarious position with more than $300 billion of debt, and its collapse now appears imminent, which could in turn have major ripple effects for the world economy. QANTAS is gearing up for a nationwide restart, with all of its crews set to return to work by December 21. More than 10,000 staff will return to work for Australia's biggest airline, ready for the Christmas rush, with CEO Alan Joyce announcing that several international routes would also re-emerge. With New South Wales Premier Dominic Perrottet announcing the reopening of international borders in New South Wales from November 1, and Prime Minister Scott Morrison rubber stamping the reopening, it's been revealed that trips to and from Delhi, Singapore, Fiji, Johannesburg, Bangkok and Phuket will be among the earliest to open up. 6,000 Qantas staff in jobs linked to international flights were stood down during the pandemic, along with 5,000 domestic flight workers. Qantas closed on the ASX yesterday at $5.69, and it's anticipated the most recent announcement could result in a positive outlook for shareholders. Major currencies were mostly weaker against the US dollar in European and US trade. The euro fell from highs near $1.16 to session lows near $1 and 16.2 cents at the US close. The Aussie dollar eased from highs near 75 US cents 0.1 to lows around 74.57 US cents, near a 74.65 cents at the US close. But the Japanese yen rose from 114.19 yen per US dollar to 113.66 yen, near the 114 mark at the US close. Global oil prices shed over 1% on Thursday as a forecast for a warm US winter put the brakes on a rally that drove prices to multi-year highs on tight supply and global energy crunches. The Brent crude price fell by $1.21 or 1.4% to $84.61 a barrel, and the US NYMEX crude price lost 92 cents or 1.1% to trade at $82.50 a barrel. Base metal prices dropped on Thursday as higher energy costs and headwinds in China threatened the global recovery. Aluminium dropped sharply by 5.2%, the most since April 2018, while nickel plunged 4.9%, the most since March, and copper also incurred a dip, down by 3.8%. The gold futures price fell by $3 or 0.2% to trade at $1,781.90 an ounce. Spot gold was trading near US $1,783 an ounce at the US close. And iron ore slid US $6.95 or 5.6% to US $117.50 a tonne. Well, that's all for our morning outlook report here on Kalkine TV. Have a great day trading and stay tuned for more market updates and economic news live throughout the day. I'm James Preston, signing off for now.